Welcome back to the HUD everyone, I'm Zacharoni, and after 3 months with my new PS5, I finally slipped into the next generation in gaming. And what better way to celebrate by recapping the games I played on it, and also the ones that are outside from it. So without further ado, please be seated, and here's what's on my completed menu so far. On March 6, 2021, I played and beaten Pyra and Mystra's Classic Mode in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. My first reactions to Pyra and Mystra was worrisome, thinking that it was going to be DLC for Xenoblade Chronicles 2 that take place after the main game, because I only played a little of that game when I got it for Christmas in 2017, and I think I blamed the rabbits for that really. But then it would turn into a relief and a surprise when it would DLC for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and it was going to be Pyra and Mystra as the new challengers instead of the main character Rex, who is still kicking himself to this day. So Pyra and Mystra are kinda like Zelda and Sheik before they became their own thing, a 2-in-1 character who can switch on the fly with the correct input. Except, they both do the same animations with different results, like Pyra does slower but stronger attacks, while Mystra is weaker but does quick attacks. And after a 3-month experience with them with a friend of mine, I actually enjoyed playing at them. Not quite as Sephiroth, but it's still better than the last DLC characters that I played, Min Min and Steve. Then there's the other content, like Classic Mode, where it represents the pair's 2 character system, including the final boss. And then there's the stage, Cloud Sea of Everest, which admittedly, while it's a good representation of the Titan that it's based on, I don't think it's quite as good as the previous stages I played. Mainly because it doesn't have any interesting gimmicks besides from the head that keeps moving away, which makes the stage shorter. So final rating for Pyra and Mystra? A silver medal. And let's just hope the last 2 DLC characters won't be a disappointment. On March 30th, 2021, I started playing Narita Boy, and then on April 10th, 2021, I beaten the game. When I started playing Narita Boy, my first criticism for it was you use the left analog stick to move your character. And if I learned anything from Colin Moriarty and Yahtzee Croshaw, it's that using this is a bad idea for a 2D side-scroller. Luckily though, everything else was a saving grace, from crunchy combat that had a sword that can turn into a kickback shotgun, to matching puzzles that required me to look through the environment, and bosses that are challenging and satisfying to take down. However, during my time with Narita Boy, a certain somebody pointed out named sections that, I am not making this up, like placenta, amniotic fluid, and glaucoma. And while it did make my face red when I learned about this, it's all part of the storyline. Narita Boy tells the tale of a random 80s gamer who gets sucked into the video game of the same title, and taxed on saving the digital kingdom while also recovering the memories of the creator of this game. And not only I learned more about his childhood life as I progressed through the game, but also how he came up with the idea of Narita Boy, and how is he connected to all this, while playing this calming xylophone number that gets me every time I hear it. As for the final slice, well, it does end with a cliffhanger, but the final showdown with him was one of the most challenging I had, where I need to utilize everything I learned in the game. Throw in a killer Tecmo soundtrack that make the now retired Daft Punk proud, and you got a game that I didn't expect to like that much. Though, like I said in the intro of this review, the left analog stick is a questionable idea, resulting in failed platforming and mid-timing combat, and the horse riding section nearly killed it for me because it was way too fast and I had to constantly memorize when to jump. But overall, I give Narita Boy a silver medal. It might not have got the gold, but it still gives the message of what the word heart really means. On April 8th, 2021, I started playing Astros Playroom. Then on April 10th, 2021, I beaten the final level, and then on April 18th, 2021, I unlocked everything. Before I finally got my PS5 at my house at last, I got myself a new live Gamer Bold card capture to record my footage in 4K. But unfortunately, the PC I got is lacking a Thunderbolt 3 requirement, so I decided to get the Elgato 4K 60 Plus S, and my first attempt at it was Astros Playroom, Sony 3 tech demo where it utilized the DualSense controller. and admittedly it didn't go so well on my first attempt, given that you might have saw it in the leftover video for this. But enough about the Elgato, let's talk about Astros Playroom, and right away it's short, lasting around 3 to 4 hours, but Playroom is like Portal and Untitled Goose Game. Both are short, but they offer sweet experiences, and Playroom follows suit that shows the possibilities of the DualSense controller. And while the platforming is the same as Rescue Mission, they do mix it up with fun scenarios, like using the touchpad to move a ball, and then later I was in control of a monkey with the triggers to climb up a mountain. As for the final slice, well, I enjoyed what they did that I'm not gonna spoil, but I think that the final slice in Rescue Mission was better than Playroom's final boss because it got more variety in attack patterns. But overall, I give Astros Playroom a gold medal. It might be a short tech demo, but it gives me wonders of what they might do with the PS5 in the future. And I might have already found that out with the next few games on this list. On April 9th, 2021, I started playing Bugsnax, and then on April 25th, 2021, I finished the main story. Bugsnax sort of got me curious when I first saw the trailer for it, and it asked me the question, does this game have consequences when they eat too many Bugsnax? Well, I'll get back to that in a minute, but right now, I'm going to talk about the full game itself. Bugsnax is a first-person monster catcher where you take pictures of snack-like creatures, capture them, and then feed them to the locals who are living on the island. Each ranging from a musician who can't stop singing about Bugsnax, to a lover of Bugsnax who refused to eat them, and a scientist who is experimenting with Bugsnax. So each of the missions requires you to capture a certain Bugsnax that they ask for, and catching them is quite challenging, where you need to study their movement and use the right trap to capture them. But some can't be captured unless you get rid of their elements like fire and ice. However, I wish that the game had an A to Z option so I can find a Bugsnax name quickly, because looking for the journal I was given does slow the pacing down for me, along with backtracking. Plus, you can't even die in this game, given that there are boss-like giant Bugsnax that are enjoyable to figure out and take down. Kinda like a puzzle fight really. But I think the strongest part of the game is the main story, where I was playing as a journalist who was looking for Lisburn to get an interview about the mysterious island home to the Bugsnax. And as I keep playing, I started interviewing the residents of the island, learning a lot more about them, and finding information about Lisburn's whereabouts. And when I found her at the final slice, I was kind of surprised why she was MIA throughout the game. Though after that, I was presented with a scenario that seemed like they knew that failure was going to be impossible if they keep it in. Look, I'm trying to avoid spoilers, okay? But I will say that the ending was great, and the music that was played in the first trailer was present at the end credit, which is still catchy to listen to. So while there's no punishment for failure, I'll give it a bronze medal for its story, characters, and its creative world where you can eat fast food insects with minor effects. On April 15th, 2021, I started playing Rain on Your Parade, and then on April 25th, 2021, I beaten the last level. Rain on Your Parade had an interesting concept, where you play as a rain cloud causing mischief not only with rain, but also thunder, snow, and tornado throughout the city. So I was expecting it to be like Untitled Goose Game, where I can go around the environment and mess with everything, like a Zeus that had a few too many last night. But when I started playing it, I was presented with a world map and a set of levels in a linear order, with the first one involving crashing a wedding. That, unfortunately, is not what I'm looking for in a game like this. I was expecting it to keep the pacing up without going to the menu constantly, and I can keep playing it like a toy when I feel like it. But instead, it's just a set of levels with different objectives that are pretty interesting and unique, like causing a zombie outbreak, crashing Ricky and Steven's office, and a Metal Gear Solid parody level with codec conversations. So the game doesn't run out of ideas as I keep playing, but unlike Untitled Goose Game, it doesn't quite have the charm or style that makes me want to come back to it. But I did enjoy the final slice, where I was presented with a tower defense-like game, ultimately ending with a mischief mess around with a parade of celebration. So I commend the team that works on this with a bronze medal, for a game where I can tear the whole world with thunder and lightning, and a tornado that can carry a black hole around. On May 1st, 2021, I started playing No More Heroes 2 Desperate Struggle, and then on June 13th, 2021, I beaten the final boss. The first No More Heroes followed Travis Touchdown as he climbed to the top of the assassination list by taking out the top 10. And in the sequel, we see our beam-wielding friend climbing to the top against 50 of the most dangerous assassins. So I guess that means the sequel is more bigger than its predecessor, right? Well, spoiler warning, halfway through, the game decided to cut this down with a scenario involving the lower ranks assassins in a battle royale before there was a battle royale. But the worst part is that you don't take part in it, because a previous assassin that was featured in the last game took care of all of them for you. And while Travis was taking care of that, fan favorite Shinobu was assigned on taking care of 2 assassins to cut the structure of the game for Travis. Oh, and for the record, even though she's best girl, I didn't enjoy my time playing at Shinobu, given that her sessions required jumping that feels stiff when you make her do it. In fact, the whole game is sort of just like the last game, but just more tiresome. Case in point, there was one moment where I was stuck in a car park and I had to defeat every enemy that keep throwing at me. And then there was another moment where I went through the first part of a level where I keep killing with no exciting music going on. So I understand why it is a step down from its predecessor, given that every ranking from the first one feels like an accomplishment, while in the sequel, you just go in without paying a single penny, making the enjoyable mini-games kind of an afterthought, because once you get all the weapons and do all the training sessions, the extra money I keep collecting is worthless. Also, who thought it was a good idea to have the exercise segment at minigames? I mean, why am I running on a treadmill back and forward and also punching dumbbells what the coach keeps throwing at me? Can't you just do squats or weightlifting animations or something? Plus, I think the rank assassins are not that memorable, ranging from American Footballer with a giant robot, a horror movie Leatherface, and fan service, I guess? As for the final slice, well, it started off little, then became Hulk size, and then turned into a giant balloon with one of the cheapest attacks I have ever experienced, that doesn't come close to the first No More Heroes final slice satisfaction. So I would have given No More Heroes 2 a bronze medal for its minigames and rockin' soundtrack, but unfortunately, I have to give it a stone medal for its weak structure and gameplay that is a step down from its predecessor. Let's just hope that Suda51 got a more confident experience with No More Heroes 3. But first, it's time for Travis to strike back. Well, later. I got more videos to do. On May 4th, 2021, I started playing Returno, and then on May 23rd, 2021, I give up on it. Beside from its terrible title, Returno really surprised me, with its great gameplay that is quick and fast paced, similar to the developer's previous games but in third person. Weapons that utilize the triggers in creative ways have a great kick to them, and the bosses are quite challenging to take down. However, there is one little problem I have with this game. It's a roguelike where if I die, then everything that I build up to that makes my character better is all lost, and the map layout changes constantly. And admittedly, I do like a roguelike like Crypto the Necrodancer, but for something like Returno, which is a third-person shooter, it's not really a match made in heaven for me really, and that had to do with the lack of a save feature. You see, the game presents itself in a linear structure with a marker on where to go to next, but the problem is that every time I turn my PS5 off, I have to start over again with all the lost progress that I made near the next objective. Sure, I could have left it on rest mode, but think of the electricity bills I would have if I left it on all day and all night until I complete it. Yeah, it would go through the roof. Also, combining roguelike with a bullet hell difficulty, then you got a game that is too hard to complete. And to be perfectly honest, I don't think this game should have been a roguelike. Which I'm not saying it's a bad game, but I would have liked it if it was something else, like a Dark, or in this case, Demon, Souls-like game. Even though we do have too many of those as well, really. So, final analysis, I'll give it a certificate of appreciation. I really wanted to see the outcome for the main character, but unfortunately, it's got the wrong genre for me to cope with. On May 7th, 2021, I started playing Resident Evil 8/Village, and then on May 18th, 2021, I finished the game. You know, at the end of every Resident Evil 7 review, they congratulate Capcom for returning the series to its roots, but then they say, sarcastically, that they can't wait to see how they mess it up for next time. And now we got the 8th installment titled Village. So where did this one land exactly? Well, I like it. No really, I like it. Better creature design, smoother gunplay, and it's got more replay value than 7. But aside from the one in the nearly doll-sized house, I don't find it as memorable than 7. Mainly because that game was more claustrophobic, while in this one you get more space and a little bit lighter. Also, the story is not quite as good as well, where I think that Miss Duchess should have been the big bad throughout the game, and I almost get the feeling that Capcom is screwing with Ethan around every corner on purpose. Like an enemy taking chunks out of its fingers, and there was this one moment where Ethan's right hand would cut off instantly, and he managed to reattach it with medicine for some bizarre reason. Luckily though, that bizarre reason was explained near the final slides where, admittedly, it was just a circle strafing montage without the iconic moment in every Resident Evil game, but I think that Capcom should have gave Ethan, try not to spoil the ending, what he really deserved from the start. In fact, I questioned Chris Redfield's actions at the start, which was finally revealed at the halfway point to the final slide, but maybe there was a better way to explain it to Ethan before assaulting his house. So while the scares are decent and the story is a letdown, I still have a great time with RE8, Village or whatever they want to call it, and I'll only give it a silver medal. Good job Capcom, and let's hope you know what you are doing for next time, if you know how to follow it up of course. On June 2nd, 2021, I started playing Oxenfree, and then on June 3rd, 2021, I finished the game. You know, I had a hard time to express my opinions on Oxenfree. On one side, it got a great story with good voice acting and choices that aren't black and white, while the other, it got some things that just make me not like it, but also not hate it as well. Oxenfree tells the tale of 5 teenagers who are meeting on an island for a special get-together party, and then after messing with the radio in a cave, the group is separated and ghosts inhabited the island. But while the story is pretty good with some interesting moments, I don't think I'm a fan of this type of story adventure. The interesting thing about Oxenfree is that the game still tells the story without any cutscenes in real time. So I can just move my character freely while they are talking, but sometimes I was rushing where I thought that conversation was over, only to realize that there was another thing the character is saying. So conversations do move fast when I need to make split-second dialogue choices, which admittedly doesn't punish me, but I think I like my adventure games where I can pick my character dialogue without a timer to contend with. Also, I'm aware that Oxenfree gets better if I play it again, but given that I said everything about the game just now, I just don't want to play it again really. So Oxenfree gets a certificate of appreciation from me, and don't expect me to be playing the sequel and Night School Studios' other project, After Party, in the future. On June 5th, 2021, I started playing Mighty Goose. And then on June 6, 2021, I beaten the game. After Oxenfree, I now want to play a game with a focus on gameplay than story. So I looked up Getting the Gaming for some new releases and went with Mighty Goose, a 16-bit run and gunner where you play the goose in power armor shooting at bad guys with its arm cannon, which probably now increased the meme popularity. So I'll say it straight away, it feels great mowing down hordes of enemies with different weaponries, and I like it when I use them to hover up in the air with them. Unfortunately though, it's really short, with my playtime lasting around 2 to 3 hours on my first playthrough, and I managed to master the Redux levels with an extra hour of playtime. So while the price tag of £15.49 may be a bit too high for its limited content, I'll give Mighty Goose a bronze medal for being an enjoyable but decent run and gun game featuring a goose that honks its way against the galactic tyrant and then sit on its throne for satisfaction. On June 11th, 2021, I started playing Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and then on June 26th, 2021, I beaten the game with 100% completion. So let's get one thing straight first. Do I think Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is, for now, the best PS5 game to date? Yes. Why? because it pushes the power of the PS5 with stunning visuals and epic set pieces. Weapons are even more creative, particularly with the adapted triggers, created level designs where you switch from one dimension to another, and a story where the stakes are high and the villain is taken seriously, right up to the final slice where it was satisfying, and also ends with the two Nefarious singing a duo in the credit sequence. Plus, it was exciting to see some of the alternative characters that are more braver than their counterparts. But do I think it's the best Ratchet and Clank game in the series? No. Why? Because while growing up with the series, I started to learn a lot from the other fans who have split opinions about the franchise so far. From how it steps away from platforming and consumerism storylines to fast-paced shooting with complex storylines about discovering who they are. And Rift Apart still followed that, but compared to previous games, I think it lacked content where it doesn't have multiple paths in each world I visited. Oh, and the best weapon that is featured in every Ratchet and Clank game is not really the greatest, even if it does have some interesting Easter eggs with it. But it's still not a bad game. I had a great time with its gunplay, and I like Rivet as a character, where she is determined to save her universe, her reasoning for not trusting Clank at first, and there was this one other character where, without spoiling too much, gave me an idea if things would have been different at the start of the series. So overall, Rift Apart gets a gold medal from me. It might not be the best Ratchet and Clank game in the series, but it's still one of the best PS5 games to play. For now, of course. Okay, so that's the games I played and beaten throughout the last 3 months. What about the ones I'm still playing? Well, after trying out Final Fantasy VII Intermission, I haven't got back to it because I was too busy completing Rift Apart. And even if I did complete the DLC, I don't know how to express my opinions on the DLC. Meanwhile, I'm actually playing another game that would release after getting Rift Apart, but unfortunately I didn't have enough time to do my top-ends video on it, given that I need to check out everything, if not everything, I discovered so far. So check back with me later and I'll tell you what I think of this, Intermission, and all the other games I've been playing in a completed menu. And if you like what you see, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Plus stay in touch with my Twitter page, link in the description down below. But until then, I'm Zacharoni. Enjoy your pizza, remember to wash your hands, and I'll see you next time.